I'm Azaria Tagaya, and this is Nightline, the top stories. Prime Minister urges Arab Muslim nations to push for Israel's expulsion from UN. And fire at Papar Hospital forces evacuation of patients and medical staff. Good morning. A fire broke out at the store of Papa Hospital's pharmacy department in Sabah on Monday night. The fire was believed to have started at around 7 p.m. 14 firemen from the Papa Fire and Rescue Team were dispatched to the scene. Health Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad, in a post on X, said he was informed that no casualties were reported during the incident. The ministry, he said, is focusing all of its resources to ensure the safety of all patients and staff at the hospital, including evacuating them to nearby hospitals. He added further updates will be provided once investigations are completed and all confirmations are obtained from the relevant authorities. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has called on world leaders at the Extraordinary Arab Islamic Summit to unite in suspending or expelling Israel from the United Nations. In his national statement at the summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Anwar called for a strong international response to what he described as Israel's barbaric actions against the Palestinians.
50 years ago, the world was so horrified by the atrocities in South Africa that the United Nations General Assembly took the unprecedented step of denying its government a seat of the Assembly. Israel, however, has gone beyond the pale, beyond reason, beyond humanity itself in its vile and blatant perpetration of genocide of the people of Palestine. These cumulative acts of violence against an entire nation leaves us with no choice but to demand the swift and effective action of the international community, including embargo, suspension, and even expulsion. In its relentless campaigns, Israel has now struck at the very heart of the international community's lifeline for Palestine, by targeting the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees. By barring Anwar from operating, Israel is causing the collapse of the world's humanitarian response, cutting off the most basic means of survival in Gaza for those who have already lost so much. We must put an end to this continued senseless carnage and take immediate steps to furnish more effective protection for the UNRWA. We must accord better protection for the UN peacekeepers in Lebanon, comprising nearly 50 nations, including Malaysia, who have been attacked and terrorized by Israeli forces. The international community must act swiftly and forcefully. As an immediate measure, we must push, as Malaysia did at the UN General Assembly in September, to impose an immediate arms embargo against Israel.
Anwar also called for a renewed commitment to reconstruction efforts in Gaza, stressing the urgency of providing relief and stability to affected communities. He also urged for global unity and compassion, calling for leaders to rise above politics and work towards a peaceful future. Earlier, the Prime Minister expressed Malaysia's readiness to provide financial aid to Lebanon to help victims affected by Israeli attacks. Datuk Sri Anwar conveyed the matter to Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati during a meeting in Riyadh, held before the Extraordinary Summit of Arab Islamic States. In the meeting, the Prime Minister expressed Malaysia's continued support for Lebanon, which is currently facing the aggression of the Israeli Zionist regime. He said Malaysia was also directly affected by the tension in Lebanon following the Israeli attack, which injured 6 members of the Malaysian battalion Malbat, participating in the United Nations Interim Force UNIFIL mission. Elsewhere, Anwar and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi have condemned the Israeli war on Gaza and its attacks against Lebanon. During the Prime Minister's second official visit to Egypt, the two leaders agreed on the need to advocate for peace and security to prevail in West Asia. In a joint statement issued on Sunday, both leaders reaffirmed the right of the Palestinians to self-determination, including the right to their independent state of Palestine, and urged the United Nations Security Council to reconsider Palestine's application for full membership. Anwar also expressed Malaysia's appreciation to Egypt for facilitating the delivery of much-needed humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza. The two leaders also agreed to undertake the necessary measures to enhance defense and security relationship between the two nations. This includes regular dialogue and consultations, information sharing, joint training, counter-terrorism initiatives and addressing transnational crimes such as cybersecurity threats and cryptocurrency fraud. Both leaders also acknowledged the two countries' economic potential and are confident in the growth of trade value and bilateral investment activities. Now, Kuala Lumpur police have stepped up their investigation into the latest case of alleged bullying at University Pertahanan Nasional Malaysia UPNM, in which a military cadet is said to have suffered cracks on his ribs and spine after being stomped on by a senior. So far, police have recorded statements from 15 people, including the main suspect, a senior cadet at UPNM, who appeared at the Cheras Police Headquarters to give his statement on Monday. The suspect arrived at the Cheras District Police Headquarters at around 9:30 a.m, accompanied by several military personnel. The process of recording the statement lasted around 5 hours, with the vehicle carrying the suspect seen leaving the area at around 2:30 p.m. According to Kuala Lumpur Police Chief Datuk Rosdi Muhammad Isa, police have also recorded statements from the victim as well as several witnesses.
Kita dah ambil, lepas tu kita dah ambil lagi ada 5 lagi hari ni. Tambah lagi 6 lah, termasuk dia 6. Bila dia dapat tu tengok ada keperluan lagi tak untuk ambil yang lain dengan laporan perubatan lah tu biasanya.
On Sunday, Rusdi was reported as saying that the incident took place at 10:45 p.m. on October 21st while the 19-year-old cadet was near a field after a roll call. He said police received a report about the incident on November 8th and that the victim is currently being treated in hospital. It was the second reported case of assault involving UPNM cadets in October. In Perak, a 21-year-old man was remanded for 5 days for allegedly murdering his aunt due to her controlling behaviour. The remand order was issued by Magistrate S. Punita on Monday at the Ipoh Magistrates Court to facilitate investigations under the Penal Code for murder. The suspect was arrested on Sunday at a house in Taman Putri, Pasir Putih. According to Acting Perak Police Chief, Deputy Commissioner Zulkafli Sariat, the man is believed to have killed his aunt out of frustration over her controlling behaviour.
Dia dengan menumbuk si mati berkali-kali hingga terjatuh di tangga dan sebabkan itu mungkin dia pingsan dan dikurung, disimpan di satu bilik selama 4 hari.
On Sunday, police received a report regarding the discovery of the 54-year-old victim's body locked in a room of a house at about 8:30 a.m. Initial investigations revealed that the body was already in a decomposed state. The body was sent to the forensic unit of Hospital Raja Permaisuri Bainun for an autopsy to determine the cause of death. Efforts are already underway to welcome Visit Malaysia Year 2026, although it is still a year ahead. And to attract more tourists from now itself, Prasarana Malaysia Berhad through Rapid KL has launched the My Tourist Pass. To achieve its aspirations in attracting 26.1 million tourists by next year, the pass, which was launched on Sunday, offers tourists public transport access in Kuala Lumpur, unlimited travel to popular tourist hotspots, eateries, shopping centres and selected theme parks. All that at a discounted price. The pass also allows local and foreign tourists to explore the city and visit iconic locations in Kuala Lumpur via railway services and buses under Rapid KL. At the launch, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadila Yusof said the pass not only aims to attract tourists but also gives advantage to locals.
Sistem pengangkutan yang baik bukan sahaja memberi kemudahan kepada rakyat tetapi juga menyumbang pada kelancaran ekonomi, mengurangkan kesesakan lalu lintas serta menjamin kesejahteraan sosial.
The My Tourist Pass is priced at 20 ringgit for 1 day, 30 ringgit for 2 days and 40 ringgit for 3 days for Malaysians. For foreigners, the pass costs 40 ringgit, 50 ringgit and 60 ringgit for 1, 2 and 3 days respectively. The The Employees Provident Fund EPF recorded 19.67 billion ringgit investment income for the third quarter ended September 30th, 2024, up 34.1% or 5 billion ringgit from 14.67 billion ringgit it made in the same period last year. This pushed its total investment income for the January-September period to 57.57 billion ringgit, up 20% from 47.86 billion ringgit in the corresponding January-September period last year. Equity investments made up the bulk of the income contributed to the pension fund, accounting for 93% of the total investment income in the quarter, with 18.32 billion ringgit generated, nearly doubling from 9.17 billion ringgit a year ago. International investments, meanwhile, contributed 10.50 billion ringgit, or 53% of the total investment income. As of September 2024, the EPF's investment assets totaled 1.22 trillion ringgit, with 62.2% and 37.8% allocated to Malaysian and international investments, respectively. Global markets were generally positive during the quarter, driven by the start of the interest rate easing cycle, as the US Federal Reserve reduced its interest rates by 50 basis points in September. The ringgit will be efficiently managed to strengthen its resilience against external factors. In giving this assurance, the government said it would ensure that the local currency was traded in an orderly manner, and Bank Negara Malaysia BNM would remain prepared to curb excessive currency movements in the foreign exchange market. Issues in West Asia and the outcome of the United States elections may contribute to fluctuations in global financial markets. Hence, Deputy Finance Minister Lim Hui Ying told the Dewan Rakyat that the positive prospects for Malaysia's economy, on the other hand, will continue to provide support to the ringgit.
Langkah ini bertujuan untuk membolehkan pengurusan pendedahan pertukaran asing yang lebih cekap, seterusnya mengukuhkan daya tahan dari faktor luar.
The government and the central bank have long taken proactive steps to promote the use of the local currency for international trade and investment settlements. It had also explored opportunities for local currency settlement cooperation with strategic countries such as China, Thailand, Indonesia and other ASEAN countries with high bilateral trade volumes. Sarawak has tabled a budget of 15.8 billion ringgit for 2025. It was the largest in the state's history, with a focus on infrastructure investment and the people's well-being. Premier Tan Sri Abang Johari Oping said the proposed budget was an increase of 2.2 billion ringgit or 16% from 13.6 billion ringgit this year. When tabling the budget in the Sarawak Legislative Assembly, he spelt out the priorities in the 2025 state budget.
Effective public spending remains essential to stimulating economic growth, delivering vital public services, and funding investment that support both current needs and future development. It is therefore crucial to prioritize our spending on high-impact, productive activities while ensuring that programs and projects are being executed efficiently.
4.9 billion ringgit would be allocated for operating expenditure, while 8.8 billion ringgit would be appropriated to the Development Fund account. Sarawak's revenue was projected to reach a record 14.2 billion ringgit next year. In Japan, Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba on Monday unveiled a $65 billion plan to boost the country's chip and artificial intelligence industries via subsidies and other financial incentives. The plan is to strengthen control over their chip supply chains after global shocks, including trade tensions between the United States and China. Tokyo intends to submit the plan, including bills to support the mass production of next-generation chips, to the next parliament session. Last year, the Japanese government said it would allocate some 2 trillion yen to support its chip industry. Achieving sustained wage increases has been a priority for the government as rising living costs hit households, potentially weighing on consumption and the broader economy. Yannick Sinner on to a good start. Sports after this breather.
Lebih segar, lebih dinamik. Laporan komprehensif menghidupkan pagi anda.
Buletin pagi dengan waktu yang baharu. 9.30 pagi setiap hari bermula 1 November.
Nak minum matcha ke teh hijau? Teh hijau ke matcha?
Tak ada beza je.
Adalah.
Yang penting kena kurangkan gula sebab tak baik untuk kesihatan.
Perniagaan tudung zaman sekarang untung ke? Lagi-lagi peniaga kecil dan sederhana.
Risiko kalau guna pengecas elektrik dalam kenderaan sebab risiko renjatan dan boleh membawa maut.
Harta pusaka tidak dituntut, kupasannya dalam soal wang.
MHI setiap Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi.
Di TV3 dan stream ditonton.
Tahniah kepada rangkaian televisyen Media Prima. Bersinar gemilang di pentas Anugerah Sri Angkasa. Menawan Sri Angkasa, 17 anugerah jadi bukti. Hasil kerja keras dan kreativiti yang tiada tandingan.
Terima kasih ASE.
Bersama kita ciptakan lebih banyak kejayaan.
Dapur kotor, punca lilati membiak.
Ini tanda you tak pernah cuci belakang memang. Tapi ini kesan pun sudah lama.
Pengendali leka, premis tercemar.
Banyak kali dah kita diingatkan, tolong basuh telur semua. Basuh.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui tonton.
We're back with sports, tennis and the 2024 Nitto ATP finals. World number one Yannick Sinner began his bid to win the tournament for the first time with a comfortable straight sets win over Alex de Minaur in their opening Ilie Nastase group clash on Sunday. The Italian, runner-up to Novak Djokovic in the prestigious year-ending tournament last year, fell behind early in the first set but quickly bounced back, winning 6-3, 6-4 against the Australian in an hour and 25 minutes. Sinner completed the victory with an ace to make it 8 wins out of 8 against de Minaur. Earlier, Taylor Fritz also made a winning start to the ATP finals, beating Daniil Medvedev 6-4, 6-3 after the Russian lost his cool and risked getting deported because of his bizarre antics. Fourth-seeded Medvedev was clearly frustrated with his serving performance, slamming his racket in anger in the first set. Despite his opponent's action, American Fritz remained steady throughout the match to claim his 50th win of the season. On to football now. The Liga Portugal. Sporting Lisbon pulled off a sensational 4-2 comeback away win against Braga on Sunday, giving Ruben Amorim a fairy tale ending to his spell as head coach before his move to Manchester United. Braga took the lead after Ricardo Horta made the most of some chaotic defending and struck home from 3 yards out in the 20th minute. The right winger then doubled the host advantage just before the interval when his shot squeezed past Sporting's goalkeeper and looped into the net. After the restart, Amorim's men got themselves back into the match thanks to a lashed Hide Morita rebound from a corner in the 58th minute before Morten Hjulman fired in a scorcher to equalise the score for the visitors with 10 minutes remaining. A quick brace by Conrad Harder in the final minutes, including a spectacular low strike from outside the box to give Sporting the lead, completed the turnaround and handed Amorim the chance to wave a joyous farewell to the travelling contingent. 39-year-old Amorim is set to take charge of the Red Devils after the international break with his first match taking place on November 24th against Ipswich Town. In another match, Angel Di Maria scored a brace as Benfica dominated Clásico rivals Porto, trashing them 4-1 at the Estadio da Luz. The Eagles opened the scoring in the 30th minute through former Manchester United left-back Álvaro Carreras, but the Dragons drew level 1 minute before half-time with a tap-in by Samu Aguihoa. The home side then scored 2 goals in quick succession through Di Maria in the 55th minute and an own goal by Neuen Perez in the 60th minute. Di Maria then found his brace after sending the keeper the wrong way from from the spot kick, sealing the dominant 4-1 victory for Benfica. The win kept the Eagles in third with 25 points, 2 points behind second place Porto. Thousands flee as fourth major storm in a month hits Philippines. Details when Nightline returns.
Wanita hari ini
tidak dihargai kadang-kadang menyakitkan.
Sekali-sekala tu berilah penghargaan sikit.
Lada hitam banyak khasiatnya
dan boleh divariasikan dalam pelbagai menu masakan.
Membuli dan dibuli isunya tidak berkesudahan.
Macam mana sebenarnya kita nak hentikan budaya yang tak baik ini?
Jika anak lahir di luar negara, apakah status kewarganegaraannya?
Ikuti kupasannya Khamis ini.
Seronoknya kalau menantu dan mentua bagaikan kawan.
Gang! Ikuti semuanya di Wanita Hari Ini TV3.
Dan stream sekarang ditonton.
Sepasang suami isteri direman 6 hari bagi membantu siasatan seorang pembantu rumah dipercayai akibat didera.
Pihak polis menjumpai batang balloon stick untuk memukul si mati ini.
Satu kes kecuaian dalam menjaga seorang pembantu rumah.
Lebih segar, lebih dinamik. Laporan komprehensif menghidupkan pagi anda.
Buletin pagi dengan waktu yang baharu. 9.30 pagi setiap hari bermula 1 November.
Cepat, cepat. Kopi soda One in a Million dah bermula ni. Takkan nak nyanyi depan cermin je. Tunjukkan juga bakat lain macam menari ke, boleh bermain alat muzik ke, lagi ons. Boleh solo, duo atau berkumpulan. Muat naik video nyanyian anda ke TikTok atau hadir ke lokasi uji bakat berikut. Dapatkan info lanjut di media sosial yang tertera. Segar rasa, sedap suara.
News from the foreign front. US President-elect Donald Trump has made 2 more key appointments ahead of his return to the White House in January. Trump on Sunday announced that Tom Homan, aged 62, will serve as his border czar, having previously served as the returning president acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE. While New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, aged 40, has been made ambassador to the United Nations. Other names in the running to join the administration are billionaire ex-owner Elon Musk, who played a key role in Trump's campaign, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Trump's Republican Party, in the meantime, are edging closer to full control of the US Congress, having already secured a majority in the Senate and needing to win just a handful of seats to take the House of Representatives. A party needs 218 seats to win a House majority, and the Republicans currently have 215 compared to the Democrats' 210. Control of the House gives a party the power to initiate spending legislation and launch impeachment proceedings against officials. A majority in the House, the lower chamber of Congress, alongside the Senate, the upper chamber, would give Trump a greater chance of getting his plans approved than if Democrats controlled one or both. Shigeru Ishiba was formally re-elected as Japan's Prime Minister on Monday after a rare runoff vote in a parliament no longer controlled by his ruling coalition, setting the stage for a minority government that may compel him to yield more to an emboldened opposition bloc. In the first runoff vote in 3 decades to select a new Prime Minister, Ishiba, who heads the Liberal Democratic Party LDP, defeated his rival Yoshihiko Noda, leader of the main opposition party, the Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan, at the opening of a 4-day parliamentary session. None of the candidates secured 233 votes in the 465-member House of Representatives in the initial round, a majority threshold required to be elected Prime Minister. However, Ishiba eventually prevailed as expected, garnering 221 votes, well clear of his nearest challenger, Noda. Following the parliament's vote, Ishiba must run a fragile minority government. As Trump regains control in main ally, the US, tensions rise with rivals China and North Korea, and domestic pressure mounts to rein in the cost of living. The 67-year-old was first sworn in as Prime Minister in September after his predecessor, Fumio Kishida, stepped down amid a series of scandals that rattled public trust in the LDP. Zionist forces sent tanks into the western side of Gaza's Nusayrat camp on Monday in a new incursion into the enclave's central area, as Palestinian medics said Zionist military strikes had killed at least 11 people since Sunday night. Residents said that Zionist tanks opened fire as they rolled into that sector of the camp, one of the Gaza Strip's 8 historic refugee sites, causing panic among the population and displaced families. In Zionist attacks overnight and into Monday, at least 7 people were killed in Nusayrat in 2 separate airstrikes, one that hit a tent encampment. In the town of Beit Lahia, where the Israeli forces have operated since October 5th, it was reported that at least 4 people were killed in an airstrike. Zionist forces have also besieged the 3 hospitals in and around Jabalia for several weeks, and hospital officials have refused orders to evacuate the facilities or leave their patients unattended, despite the lack of food, medical and fuel supplies. In the meantime, the already slim chances of a ceasefire receded further on the weekend when mediator Qatar said it was suspending its efforts until both Israel and Hamas showed greater willingness to reach an agreement. In the meantime, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu admitted on Sunday that he had green-lighted a deadly attack targeting Hezbollah in September, in which thousands of handheld pagers or walkie-talkies exploded across Lebanon and parts of Syria. Local media reported that Netanyahu claimed responsibility for the attack during a cabinet meeting, telling ministers that senior defense officials and political figures were opposed to the detonation of the pagers, but that he went ahead with the operation. This is the first time that the Zionist regime has officially accepted its involvement in the pager attack, which killed nearly 40 people and wounded almost 3,000. Hezbollah had previously blamed its arch foe for the blast that dealt a major blow to the group and vowed revenge. Thousands of people sought shelter and ports shut down in the Philippines on Monday as the disaster-weary nation was struck by another typhoon, the 4th in less than a month. According to the National Weather Agency, Typhoon Taraji hit near Dilasag town, about 220 kilometers northeast of the capital, Manila. It warned of severe winds and intense torrential rainfall across the north of the country, along with a moderate to high risk of a storm surge. Meanwhile, rescuers said around 7,000 people were moved from coastal areas as well as flood-prone and landslide-prone areas in Aurora and Isabela, the first 2 provinces to be struck before Taraji plowed inland to the mountainous interior of the main island of Luzon. Schools and government offices were also shut in areas expected to be hit hardest by the latest typhoon. Taraji came on the heels of 3 cyclones in less than a month that killed 159 people. Now let's take a look at the recent 2024 MTV Europe Music Awards. Taylor Swift led the way at the ceremony in Manchester on Sunday, picking up 4 awards on a night dominated by female artists, including Tyla and Sabrina Carpenter. The ceremony's 30th edition, which brought the biggest names in world music to Northwest England, saw Swift take home trophies for Best Artist, Best Live, Best US Act and Best Video for her collaboration with Post Malone in Fortnite. Tyla won 3 awards, including Best R&B, while Carpenter's Espresso won Best Song, beating out tracks by Billie Eilish, Beyoncé, Benson Boone, Chappell Roan and Ariana Grande. Other artists who picked up awards in Manchester included Lisa of the ultra-popular K-pop group Blackpink, Grande, Eminem and Liam Gallagher. The awards also saw the host Rita Ora leading a tribute to the late One Direction member. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as the world's best kiteboarders gather in the sand dunes in Brazil to compete at the Big Air Kite World Champs. With that, I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for watching and we'll see you next time.